On the road, every second is unpredictable. Could you have foreseen something like this? That a furious elephant would run out of the jungle pram in front of your car? Despite such sudden appearances, manatees are harmless to people and very friendly, and meeting them brings amazing impressions. The diver barely dodged a whale that was simply having lunch. He almost ended up feeding this 20-ton giant himself, as it was swimming straight at him with its mouth wide open. Only lightning-fast reflexes helped him avoid becoming accidental prey. One of the most breathtaking sights in the world is to move along in the current together with a pod of hundreds of dolphins. This whimsical sea creature, thanks to its thin ribbon-shaped body, bears an incredibly beautiful name, Venus's girdle. The cone-shaped jellyfish glides gracefully underwater, as if dancing. The shark tried several times to grab the bird, but by some miracle it surfaced again and again. Maybe it was the phoenix bird? Now this is what it means to hit the jackpot, to end up at a feast where abundance reigns. Here you really can eat, as they say, until you drop. An abundance of fish has always attracted people, and the fish apparently became curious about why they enjoy such lively interest. Or maybe this gathering happened because they are being actively fed here? A typical morning in Sydney was disrupted by a strange discovery. People came out to the beach and froze in shock in front of a strange creature with skin that looked like a shark's but with human lips. Is this an anomaly of nature or a message from the ocean depths? The mystery still remains unsolved. Maybe you know what it was? Pillars of clouds rise high into the air. Lightning flashes. Is this just a thunderstorm or some kind of special heavenly show? And these pillars? Are they smoke or maybe something mystical? In fact, a swarm of insects is hanging in the air, and such a phenomenon fascinates no less than a ghost. This is not frost, but a real spiderweb that has entangled all the trees and bushes. Truly, how much work? A man managed to capture an amazing scene. Larvae hide in a nest made from a leaf, and ants try to get inside. But the little ones are safe, and if the nest is destroyed, they instantly fall into the water and escape there in their capsules. Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean is an amazing place. It is flooded by a giant population of crabs, the largest in the world. And every year, the island becomes covered with a living carpet of orange little crabs. Sparks and flames light up the sky with continuous flashes during pouring rain. This is how, on the 11th of August, 2025, bad weather had some fun in the city of Mount Pleasant, in the USA. Lightning struck a power line, which caused power outages in several areas. A staggering moment. Lightning cuts through the entire sky. It lasts fractions of a second, but stays in memory forever. And for those who turned on the camera in time, it will remain on the phone as well. The weather during a typhoon is always unpredictable, but that does not stop thrill seekers from watching it approach. Some fearless person in China managed to film stunning footage right before the start of a typhoon. On the 20th of October 2021, an eruption of Mount Aso occurred in Japan. It was so powerful that ash, debris, and gas reached areas located up to a kilometer from the volcano. This excursion is from the category of extreme. Lava pours straight into the ocean, like from a steel mill machine. A red-hot stream heated up to 1,000 degrees Celsius instantly hardens in the water, turning into a billowing cloud of steam. Tolbachik volcano is an active massif in Kamchatka. It is known for its large-scale eruptions, when instead of ordinary ash clouds, lava flows through cracks like a red-hot river. Some people in Asia live on a volcano, but not an ordinary one, a mud volcano. And when it gets nervous, the residents get something like a flood, along with explosions of mud. Let's look at how a mud volcano prepares for an eruption. A geyser's strategy is surprise, and if you want to get unforgettable footage, you should be patient. This flow also resembles lava, and it also comes down from the mountains, but this time we are looking at a mud flow, which is also very thick and covers everything in its path, paralyzing roads and bridges. If you watch this phenomenon from a safe shore, drifting ice flows become one of the most captivating natural phenomena. Listen to what a bizarre soundtrack accompanies the descent of ice. Right, calming? It is simply amazing how insignificant the scale of human civilization is compared to natural disasters. In China, an observer filmed a massive mud flow that collapsed into a river. Of course, it carried catastrophe for nearby houses with it. Everywhere there are mountains, something like this can happen. In August 2017, heavy rains hit a small town in Austria, and a sudden flood caught local residents right in a cafe. For a while, it became an island. Heavy rains sometimes form raging runoff, then city streets turn into channels of swift mountain rivers. Raging waters break the road and take the bridge along with them downstream. Floods have always shown people where exactly it is necessary to build stronger and more устойчив structures. Here it is not just a flow, but something like a wet landslide. The bridge tore away from the shore and floated off, obeying the pressure of the stream of water, logs, and mud that tore it away with its mass. Beet-colored water is, of course, not normal. Sometimes colonies of algae give it such a authentic, which feel comfortable and begin to multiply furiously. For some reason, pigs and mud are always an association of mutual love. Indeed, wild pigs adore no less wild mud. They settled in this huge pit as if in a palace. After watching this footage, you might think twice before walking barefoot on the beach. Sharp shells of mollusks hide under the water, feeding on tiny organisms. Most of the time, they remain almost invisible, but as soon as a wave rolls in, the edges of the shells show on the surface. This is the only case in history when horns you crash it a man. Thanks to an anomaly, females consider this deer the coolest guy in the whole forest. By the way, the inside of the antlers is hollow, so his crown is not that heavy. A shaggy ridge of clouds is moving toward the city at a terrifying speed. They definitely do not bring anything good. It looks like an apocalypse, but in fact, a sandstorm is simply approaching New Mexico. In Alaska, Tracy Arm Fjord is partially bound in ice, and it is in places like these that the most breathtaking scenes unfold. An iceberg that looks like a sphinx ends its existence. It breaks off and spins, giving observers unforgettable impressions. Now let's see how a truly big chunk breaks off from a glacier. Only the lucky ones manage to score this big prize. You do not see something like this every day. We have a little more beautiful footage of a falling glacier. Let's admire it, remembering that where the video was filmed, it is no longer there. Rocks collapse much more rarely than ice. And this time, we take our hat off to the camera operator who captured this amazing episode on the Colorado River. A majestic spectacle to watch a huge boulder separate from a sheer cliff wall. But the main thing here is to start running away in time. Year after year, the ocean does its work, undermining the barrier. And now we see how the building goes into the water because there is no support under it anymore. Let's watch the domino effect in action. In this case, we see what happens in a library during an earthquake. I think with horror about how such powerful tremors are withstood by the structure. The walls and ceiling literally shake and wobble. No barrier can withstand nature, especially when it comes to a massive landslide. Concrete nets are used to reinforce cliffs to protect roads from rockfalls. But when shifts occur inside the mountain, even such bastions are unable to hold back the displacement of the rock. Do you remember the hurricane from the Wizard of Emerald City that carried Ellie and Toto to Kansas? You should never underestimate the power of the wind. The hurricane turned light buildings into debris and now plays with them, tossing and flipping them so that the damage is greater. At first, the tornado stream looks like a thin lace, but as it approaches, we see that its funnel has become much denser. And what are those sounds? Thunder or destruction on the ground? This tornado looks like a giant octopus. Its strashny tentacles move as if choosing what to take from the ground. For those who have not seen snow, this foam will become a real attraction. It is not dangerous, although, of course, everything depends on how clean the seawater is. Although you should not swim in it, this day at the beach does not necessarily have to be considered lost. It is even, in some way, more special. If you live on the coast, then in harsh weather, choose a place for parking farther from the shore. Tsunamis often follow earthquakes in Japan. The tsunami of 2011 was especially dangerous. In some areas, the height of the waves reached almost 7 meters. A contradictory video. On the one hand, you're at an excellent observation point in safety, and on the other, you worry about what is happening below. The water inexorably creeps up to the buildings. At sunset, miracles sometimes happen. What do you think caused this sky phenomenon? Share your thoughts with us. Exactly 40 years. That is how long this lake, located in the center of Turkmenistan, has been burning. In Iran, after a strong earthquake, some strange substance began to come out of the ground. It looks like concrete or liquid asphalt. Judging by the comments, it is very hot, so it's better to stay away. When rain falls like a wall, it is incredibly beautiful. It literally moves toward you, creating an absolutely clear line. Oh, a beautiful cowboy boot. Wait. No, I'll probably put it on next time. In Brazil, deep in the tropical forest, a mysterious tree was discovered. It apparently emits fire right from its trunk. It looks like some gas is coming out inside, creating a continuous blue flame. strange flood occurred. In the desert, somewhere a dam burst, and while the water flowed over the ground, it mixed with mud, as a result of which such an unusual effect appeared. Yes, this is oil that is simply flowing out of the ground in the middle of the most ordinary field. Someone will become very rich. And here I want to ask you, what is this? Personally, I don't understand how there can be such a reaction between two seemingly ordinary stones. I would be grateful if you explain. It seems like a fun video and the shots turn out cool, but the water is burning, and that means there are toxic flammable substances in it, gasoline or fuel oil. Draw your own conclusions. Am I the only one who is scared by this place? It looks like a portal to an underwater world where different fairy tale creatures live. For example, a water spirit. A minute ago, the sun was shining on this beach. People were swimming in the river. But a minute later, a strong wind rose, and icy hail began to pour from the sky. What can I say? Changeable Siberian weather. A group of brave fishermen saved 5 belugas washed ashore near the Russian coast. They continuously poured water over the whales and cared for them for several hours, helping them survive until the tide returned. Let's give these men a like for their unreal cool deed. The authorities of the state of Kentucky allowed the use of electric current for catching carp. Not too humane, but judging by this footage, quite effective. I don't know what this is, but probably this is what cauldrons with sinners look like in hell. Very impressive. There is a saying, water wears away stone, and this video is perfect for illustrating it. This fire in the mountain is the burning of an underground coal seam. Regardless of whether it started due to human fault or natural causes, such fires can continue for decades until the fuel source is exhausted. Filming a tornado while standing next to it is a dubious pleasure. On the one hand, beautiful. On the other, a huge danger of being carried away by the wind, like Ellie from the Tale of the Emerald City. For those who don't know, this is what the eye of the storm looks like. Massive clouds layer on top of each other, then swirl, creating a breathtaking and at the same time, creepy picture. A strange flood occurred in the desert. Somewhere a dam burst, and while the water flowed over the ground, it mixed with mud, creating such an unusual effect. What beauty! A rare phenomenon. Sun candles. They appear when the sun's rays are refracted by ice crystals in the air, forming almost perfect light columns. In ancient times, cracks in the earth were considered a sign of the approaching end of the world. Today we know that this is not so, but it still looks alarming. Perhaps this is some kind of message in the sky. It seems someone wanted to tell us something. Even sea inhabitants sometimes need sun baths. Red clouds over Spain look truly ominous, as if the devil's ball from The Master and Margarita is about to begin. It's a pity for the car. In India, it was literally sucked into a sinkhole in seconds. An amazing country. Surprises every day. That very case when there are more questions than answers. The Loch Ness Monster exists. At least, otherwise I can't explain this video. In the Great Smoky Mountains, you can see the rarest miracle. Thousands of fireflies light up in perfect unison, like flying garlands shimmering in the thick night. It's okay. These are just square waves, an ordinary natural phenomenon. Once every few years, during the most severe thunderstorms, so-called super lightnings appear in the sky. One such flash is capable of leaving an entire megacity without electricity. New York, Tokyo. It's good that they occur extremely rarely and at a huge altitude. I understand that I've already tired you with my clouds. These are the last ones, honestly. You have definitely never seen such beauty. What would a rainbow look like combined with lightning? A very impressive and rare spectacle. Two oceans, two elements, and one incredible video. These two waters never mix. It's all about different density, temperature, and chemical composition. Millions of golden jellyfish swim together, plunging us into their magical underwater world. That's how it is in life. You work and work, and someone is constantly watching you and interfering with doing your job. These birds will definitely be the most noticeable at the party. Just look what cool boots they have on their legs. A magical moment. Bioluminescent plants that glow in the dark. Wonderful work by German directors. Underwater waves. Yes, those exist too. It looks like a frame from a computer game, but this is absolute reality. You can almost reach the rainbow with your hands. You just have to want to, or climb high enough into the mountains. A fisherman from the coastal zone of Florida captured an amazing moment. Clouds resembling flying saucers hovered over the sea. In fact, these are so-called fall streak holes, or hole punch clouds, rare atmospheric phenomena when gaps form in a cloud layer. That rare case when speed really matters. A huge wave is coming behind you. Hurry up. Someone catches snakes, and this Indian man gives them freedom. A real superhero in the animal world. One question: why does he do this? Does anyone know? Number 1. After the strongest earthquake in Mexico, the river overflowed its banks. It's good that the residents were ready for this and had small homemade boats at hand.
Oh my gosh! This is a bad idea to be on this boat!
When I said the world is going crazy, I wasn't lying. Just look, predator and prey have switched places. It would be interesting to know how this shocking video ended. A slowly moving sphere gliding along the ground and absorbing electricity. This is ball lightning, a dangerous, poorly studied, but very beautiful phenomenon. Nights without fear and reproach. And seriously, these drivers are real heroes. They not only returned the snakes to their natural habitat, but also saved about a dozen motorists from a possible venomous bite. In Canada, a river turned bright green. It doesn't look like an algal bloom. The cause is still unknown. Would you risk swimming in it? Number 9. The river dried up, but the fish remained. Poor creatures, huddling in a school, they literally roll along the ground to find at least some body of water. Quiet, 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 I said. Don't scare it. A mantis is trying on its new dress. Why can't you make noise? What if it's a boy? You didn't think about that, did you? Nothing unusual. This is just what clouds look like in one of the deserts of Yemen, located at a height of 2,300 meters above sea level. This is not video editing. The footage was shot in one of the American cities during a thunderstorm. These are mammatus clouds, and seeing them in densely populated megacities is a big stroke of luck. You're boating along and see a huge funnel in the middle of the lake. How it appeared there without a current is unclear. But it looks creepy, agree? Lightning has an interesting property of splitting, a beautiful spectacle that, unfortunately, occurs extremely rarely. Onlookers filmed what clouds look like before a tornado. They have an amazing shape that looks very futuristic against the sunset. If you thought that icebergs in the sea stand still, you are deeply mistaken. They are subject to the influence of nature, and especially the sun. So, it's not surprising that icy giants can suddenly flip over at one moment, frightening a crowd of onlookers watching this from a ship. When a motorboat passes along the Amazon, it really irritates the local inhabitants. Fish are especially sensitive to the sound of the engine, and they jump out to take a look at those who dared to disturb their peace. A strange phenomenon from China. Stones, apparently, sprout right out of the ground. Scientists believe that the cause is heavy rains, which helped push stones to the surface right in the middle of a city highway. When a strong earthquake happens, objects do not always fall from their places. When a house deforms, the floor can simply burst, which is exactly what happens in this creepy video. And this volcano decided to surprise not only the internet audience, but also experts. Pink ash, have you ever seen that? Number 9, a crying tree. Fiction? No, true. It is located in Montenegro, and every time it rains, water pours out of it like tears of an elegant girl. In Thailand, a man caught the most amazing fish. In the sun, it shimmers with all the colors of the rainbow. It feels like it's not even from our planet. snake that eats itself is a very bad sign. Usually this happens due to severe stress that this animal may be experiencing. We are used to water falling on us from the sky when it rains, but fish? This snake crawls as if it was specially programmed by a human, gracefully, beautifully, without stopping. In winter, the deepest lake in the world, Baikal, freezes, after which the wind drives tons of snow across its crystal-clear ice. It looks simply phenomenal, and judging by the footage, very cold. Footage from Peru that raises only questions. What is happening here? Why are there so many sea lions in this place? What are people doing there? Unclear. Dolphins are among the smartest animals on our planet. No wonder that after the swim, he returned the boy back safe and sound. I feel so sorry for this guy. In Brazil, a mudslide came down from the mountains, after which his house was destroyed within a couple of seconds. The walls survived, however, it is impossible to imagine what remained inside. In tropical jungles, because of high humidity, clouds behave quite differently. They literally spread along the mountaintops, forming an enchanting wall of steam that hovers over the evergreen forest. Deadly beauty. That is exactly how this volcanic eruption can be described, which was accompanied by flashes of lightning formed near the crater. I wish everyone would be as happy to see me as these fish in one of the zoos in China. Hearing speech, they jump out of the water, thus greeting visitors. We all know what a goldfish looks like. But what about real gold? I can imagine how happy the fishermen were when they pulled such a catch ashore. Thousands of caterpillars together cross the roadway in Colorado. I wonder how quickly they will do it. It's scary when a river suddenly becomes a bubbling substance. This is exactly how a special type of geyser forms in nature, breaking through from underground despite external obstacles.
I don't know if you can see it, but if you look right across...
Admit it, who did this in childhood? Beautiful, but very dangerous, especially when there are no firefighters nearby. I bet you have never played on stones. By the way, each of them has its own special sound. Want to check? I can't determine what this strange phenomenon is. Maybe you can? Share your opinion in the comments and we move on. Nummer 1. Mushroom-shaped clouds can only be found in Argentina. This is facilitated by the unique climate and almost windless weather in the Quebrada Valley where they form. A meteor shower of birds. How do you like that, Elon Musk? Alien head. That is exactly what fisherman Roman Fedorov wrote in his post, who caught this in his nets. It doesn't look much like a fish, agree? A tree is burning from the inside. How can that be? Very simple. It has long since dried out inside. But where the fire came from, there's a mystery.
That sounds like
In childhood, we all watched cartoons about the king of shamans. But what about the king of fish? This Indian guy just went into the water, after which all the fish themselves began to go ashore. Mysticism. This tree is real, although it looks as if it escaped from a computer game. A mud volcano that erupted in Azerbaijan is one of the largest and most active in the world. On average, several large eruptions occur every year. Many of the volcanoes can lead to large-scale fires due to emissions of combustible gases. In strange footage from a hospital in Argentina, you can see how soapy water swirls and moves by itself. No wind, no hands, no explanations. This is what happens when a flood inundates hilly terrain. After a strong tornado during a storm, a unique mixture can form in the water, which is thrown onto the shore in the form of dense beige foam. It can lie on land for several days. It is not afraid of wind or sun. This is what a whale shark looks like, the largest of its kind. Its length is about 12 meters, and its weight exceeds 20 tons. Yellowstone National Park is home to many natural masterpieces, but none of them stands out as much as Grand Prismatic. This is a huge hot spring shimmering with surreal rainbow colors. Thanks to the luminescent plankton that lives in this bay, you can shoot such futuristic videos. It's hard to believe that this is not editing and everything is happening for real. When there is drought in the world, water can be taken from trees. Few people know that they consist of 40% water. Inside the tree is an entire system of vessels and capillaries that help it feed. Truth or editing? This Chinese girl stayed in this position for as long as 20 seconds. What is her secret? Does anyone know? I got goosebumps when I watched this video. In India, a land area suddenly rose above the water by more than 1 meter, astonishing spectators. Do you know what this phenomenon is? I don't. This is not computer graphics. This is real blue volcano flame. Although very dangerous, it is such an incredibly beautiful phenomenon that happens 1 in a billion times. This is the only video available to us at the moment. If you ever see this, run, but do not forget to make a wish. If one mosquito buzzing near your ear before sleep annoys you, try 1,000 mosquitoes. How fearless do you have to be to not only not run away from their screaming, but to take a camera and start filming? Here is the answer to your question. Why do they prune trees every year and ruin the beauty? In the video, The consequences of bad decisions. The tree was simply touching the wires and naturally it caught fire. Value safety. Trees will grow back, but someone's homes, no longer. The greatest video of the 21st century. A girl accidentally filmed a meteorite falling in Portugal. She will definitely have something to show her grandchildren in old age. If your girlfriend loves roses, surprise her with an underwater field of sea glowing roses. Jellyfish you want to look at and look at. If you run to a warm country, fearing a snow avalanche, then here is what happened in Iraq. A 1 in a billion chance happened to this country, and an entire beach literally flowed, sweeping everything in its path. Cooler than a non-Newtonian fluid can only be water covered with ash from a volcano. Locals are already used to it, but tourists find such an all-absorbing carpet very amusing. Forget everything you knew about fishing. Asians outdid us again. Now, instead of sitting for hours and staring at a float, they run after the fish themselves, and every time, they come back with a catch. This is definitely where you do not expect to see a volcano waking up. On a snowy mountain during snowboarding, do not follow the example of the guys in the video. In such a case, you need to run. Or, well, ride away farther. Such clouds are often mistaken for UFOs because of how perfect they are. But in fact, in any country where there are mountains, you can see this. Perfect, round, and even lit by the sunset. To me, it looks like a donut. What do you see? The chances that lightning will hit you are small, but what are the chances that lightning will strike your car? Fortunately and miraculously, no one was hurt in the car. But after that, he did not drive in a storm and did not open the windows, becoming that very complaining grandma. An unexpected guest showed up on a date. The couple was very surprised by such attention. Surprisingly, the killer whale did not attack. It simply swam away, like after a walk through a zoo. The Sahara is popular not only for its size and cultural significance, but also for its beauty. These white sands alone bring thousands of tourists a year. Not only fruit can be forbidden, but also a flower. These sea flowers cause severe pain if you touch them, and can even paralyze you. So only look, no hands. A funny little fish that decided not to choose, but to take both outfits, both frog and fish. It does not swim, but it walks. Just a little more and it will be able to pay taxes. An amazing lake that breaks its own ice. But what is even more mesmerizing is the sound. Natural ASMR from ice chips. A real miracle of physics. Despite the fact that this giant touches the ground with only a microscopic area, no one, not a single machine, has been able to move it. The most unusual way to spend time for adrenaline lovers, to run around a funnel of stones in China. Well, as they say, whatever the child does for fun, as long as it does not eat a bat. Trouble comes from where you do not expect it. Icebergs not only break off, they also rise up from the very depths, thus catching ship crews off guard. If a sandstorm in a desert does not surprise anyone anymore, then a sandstorm at sea, very much so. In China, an entire cloud of sand rose into the sky, creating a giant cloud. SpongeBob's friends, transparent creatures called a sea pig. Since it lives at a depth of up to 6 kilometers, under pressure like a dozen airplanes, it did not bother much with its appearance. Why, if no one sees it? This is not just a volcano. The operator seems to be going to take a mud bath. Yes, this volcano erupts not with lava, but with boiling mud. A lucky day for everyone. Suddenly, a boulder simply rolled down the hill like on little sleds. Fortunately, no one stood in its way. You do not see a tornado like this every year. Fortunately, the driver noticed it in time, otherwise he would have just been sucked in there. Just look at this vortex. If everyone has seen a rainbow, then only a few have seen such an optical illusion. A rainbow around the sun is a real miracle. Apparently, someone had a very successful trip to a hookah lounge, because otherwise this smoke ring cannot be explained. One of the most dangerous phenomena is a sand avalanche of mud and sand, ready to sweep away everything in its path. It looks very scary. Nummer 1. Entire trees go underwater. This karst sinkhole, simply put, a collapse in the ground, can eat not only a tree, but also a car, a house, and even an entire street. If you see such clouds, you can truly get scared. However, they bring nothing except rain, but it looks as if someone Chajoi is about to come down. This pink cutie with 2 little paws is a Mexican lizard. If my girlfriend ever turns into a worm, then only into one like this. If you suddenly feel your hair standing on end, run. I do not know exactly where you can run in the desert, but I know for sure that such an effect happens because a lightning strike is about to hit near you or right into you. Apparently, the driver had a 4-leaf clover in the glove compartment. Otherwise, it is impossible to explain how lightning struck a couple of meters from him, and not him. No one would have believed him for sure, because a typhoon usually lasts several days. But here in the video, the typhoon decided to act up a little and dissolve into the clouds. It stirred things up, as they say. No one was hurt, but the emergency services needed these couple of days to clear the consequences of nature's New Year celebration, a synonym here. Not only ostriches and turtles know how to hide, this sea anemone instantly shrinks at any signal of danger. Too bad people do not have that. You saw your boss, and that's it. I'm not here. Nummer 1. One more proof of human helplessness. Africa almost split into 2 continents as a result of an earthquake. There's nothing left to do except watch. This is what a defender means. Having a fluffy friend who fights sandy whirlwinds for you, risking his life. A real blessing. Water and pressure can be so mighty that they can make a drinking fountain out of a real huge stone. However, you should not drink from it. There is a risk of picking up bacteria. Puddles you can drown in are no longer a metaphor. These puddles reach a depth of several meters. Dive with caution. No one was expecting a waterfall like this. The sky seems to be flowing down to the ground. This is not water slides at an all-inclusive in Turkey. You cannot put an inflatable tube under your butt. But you can watch. Right now, you see how planet Earth breathes. Gases constantly come out of this spring, creating the illusion of bubbling. It looks Martian, but in fact, everything is quite earthly. There is oxidized iron around the spring. How do you like that, Elon Musk? Here is what will happen if you decide to take trash to the nearest volcano instead of a trash bin. In the worst case, nothing. But if you try to do it on an industrial scale, there will be a gigantic eruption. These giant stones almost crashed into tourists. Thank God everything worked out, and everyone got away with a slight fright. Perhaps this is a hint from nature that it is already a little tired. Harmless sea foam can flood an entire city, and not only block major roads, but also cause poisoning among residents. One of the reasons for such a phenomenon is excessive activity of algae and bacteria. Another mystery for scientists' minds. How do these trees take exactly this shape? The magnetic field, winds, gravity? Maybe you know? Write in the comments. Now you see with your own eyes how the geological history of our planet is being made. An entire layer rose up from under the ground without any earthquake. This is exactly how rock formations once appeared. No, this is not a dementor. This is murmuration. Thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of birds fly like one organism, frightening local residents. So, just in case, do not be afraid. But it is better to hide your sunflower seeds. These people barely survived. When a piece of an iceberg breaks off, it becomes a danger not only for giants like the Titanic, but also for small boats, creating a giant wave that can sink ships. Fortunately, in this video, everyone was saved. The best artist is nature. Just look how it uses sand as a canvas, and the ocean as paint. It painted entire jungles. Icicles that grow upward. You have probably seen that at least once in your life. This happens because of a sharp expansion of water when it has not completely frozen yet. Such ice needles disappear quickly, but you, especially right now, can see them even in a puddle. So after the video, hurry to check. The end of a rainbow? What about the end of rain? An amazing phenomenon that in real life you can encounter only a couple of times. Rain together with its mother cloud runs to cover a city. Road racers have a new, worthy rival. If you suddenly feel your hair standing on end, I do not know exactly where you can run in the desert, but I know for sure that such an effect happens because a lightning strike is about to hit near you or right into you. The consequences of a tsunami can be very impressive. The wave tossed the boats one after another, creating panic among witnesses. An ice tsunami. Even horror movies will not show this. Huge pieces of cracked ice sweep away everything in their path, leaving only destruction. Truly one of the scariest cataclysms. The height of such a wave can reach several meters. One of the most beautiful processes is coral reproduction. Thousands of tiny coral larvae simultaneously detach from their parents and set off on a free swim, creating a mini cosmos inside the oceans. One of the most dangerous natural phenomena almost killed a diver. The finger of death instantly turns everything living literally into an icicle. Just a little more. Fortunately, the diver noticed the danger in time and warned the others. A new contender for the Olympic Games. A fish that not only jumps incredibly accurately into a target, but also swims against the strongest water flow. Strength, precision, qualities any champion would envy. Such clouds are often mistaken for UFOs because of how perfect they are. But in fact, in any country where there are mountains, you can see this. Perfect, round, and even lit by the sunset. To me, it looks like a donut. Seeing one UFO cloud is already surprising, but seeing this number of lenticular clouds, that is something. Consider that you pulled a lottery ticket. Two of the most beautiful natural phenomena join together for the gaze of true Instagram feed connoisseurs. A rainbow and lightning. The chances of seeing this really are 1 in a million. The driver stopped in time, just a little more, and he would have been covered by an avalanche. That is the power of a premonition. Fortunately, no one was hurt, except for empty parked cars. He fulfills our childhood dream, racing straight to the beginning of a rainbow. True, he will not find anything there. The illusion dissipates as soon as you get close to it. A foam party with consequences. Poisonous snow covered the city like the aftermath of a chemical catastrophe. The authorities and residents of the city have a huge amount of work and caution ahead. What would you do in such a situation? Honestly, I would evacuate. Hail can happen on any continent at any time of year, and that is exactly why it is so dangerous. You never can predict whether your car will remain intact or whether you should have put it in a garage. A real snow queen city. An amazing winter came to a northern city and brought a winter fairy tale. There are even Santa's reindeer here. A waterspout is scary, but what about 5 waterspouts at the same time? Thank God, none of them reached the surface of the land, otherwise an entire city could have been destroyed. The scariest thing a human is capable of is destroying their own home. What is shown in the video is only a small part of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. This miracle has an expiration date. What you see in the video is the result of many millions of years of erosion and sandstorms. Amazing how balance and physics work. By the way, this rock formation is located in Saudi Arabia. Hurry to see it. A real portal to hell opened in Turkmenistan. Just look at this flame from under the stones. Everything that falls in there disappears without a trace for 50 years already. A new place where you can get rid of problems. No, of course I have seen one tree fall from the wind, but a dozen at once? Just look, all the trees simply toppled all at once. Terrifying and fascinating at the same time. How powerless a human really is before nature, if it suddenly decides that it does not need him here anymore. I bet you have not seen albino killer whales yet. Unfortunately, their life is full of difficulties because of their appearance. So attractive to people, but so repulsive and noticeable to other inhabitants. Your mom has this stone. Yes, you heard right. In the video, you see sodalite, a dark blue stone actively used in making jewelry. They simply lit it up. Try it at home. This sea bun looks harmless, but try to disturb its peace, and it will shoot you with poison. The Employee of the Year nomination goes to a volcano in Peru. It erupted for 8 years. A real horror movie in real life. Everything around within a radius of dozens of kilometers turned into just an ashy desert. There's nothing more harmless than a cowboy tumbleweed. However, if these little bushes with legs gather into a pack, they can even block an entire road. Just look at this invasion. Look closely at these paths. It looks like smoke, right? In fact, these paths are formed by gigantic quantities of insects. No, you are not imagining it. The water is truly burning. Ships desperately try to extinguish such an unusual fire with firefighting foam caused by an oil explosion. Unfortunately, this is only one of the injuries inflicted on nature by humans, just like the previous portal to hell. These adorable little ones are a real work of evolutionary art. They are not only beautiful, but also very useful. They are able to process toxins that poison the water. If you love a light sea breeze, then this video is for you. The sea wind can be so powerful that it can simply blow away an entire waterfall. Another mystery for scientists' minds. How do these trees take exactly this shape? The magnetic field? Winds? Gravity? Maybe you know? Write in the comments. Thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of birds fly like one organism, frightening local residents. So, just in case, do not be afraid. But it is better to hide your sunflower seeds. These people barely survived. When a piece of an iceberg breaks off, it becomes a danger not only for giants like the Titanic, but also for small boats, creating a giant wave that can sink ships. Fortunately, in this video, everyone was saved. It is unlikely that this guy expected anything like this when he was simply ringing the doorbell at his mother's house.
Oh, you got your umbrella?
No, this is not smoke from a fire. This is a powerful sandstorm that at one time covered one of the Mexican states. It looks beautiful and frightening at the same time, do you agree? At the airport in Mexico City, eyewitnesses filmed an amazing natural phenomenon. It may look like a hurricane or an approaching tornado. In reality, it is rain that is slowly but surely moving toward the departing airplane. Contrary to popular belief, Thailand is far from having the status of a paradise place when it comes to natural disasters. Landslides like this often occur there with usually no warning signs. As long as air feeds the fire, it will not go out. In Turkey, there is an entire field that burns all year round. The reason is the gas that comes to the surface and ignites under the hot rays of the sun. Amazing footage from Lake Michigan in the United States. How nature could create something like this is unknown, but that does not make this weather phenomenon any less beautiful. A fisherman's dream when the fish come to him by themselves. In fact, this is a very strange natural phenomenon in which hundreds of thousands of carp decided to swim in one direction. Scientists are trying to explain such behavior by seasonal migration, which I categorically disagree with. What do you think? Is this artificial intelligence or reality? Write in the comments. Earthquakes in China are very rare, especially of such strength. In the year 2008, underground tremors with a magnitude of 8 points were recorded across the whole country. It is good that they build buildings there that are designed for such whims of nature. What is happening in this video? Write your versions in the comments. It will be very interesting to read. Residents in Taiwan saw a real underground volcano. From beneath the ground, a huge column of flame shoots up to 10 meters high, and it is definitely better not to approach it. The power of life is a terrifying power. Just look at what this insect is doing. Despite a terrible injury, it continues to live in order to return to the nest to its children. Have you ever seen anything like this? A very strange natural phenomenon that vaguely resembles a solar eclipse. The most beautiful lightning happened in the Netherlands. Because of high humidity, it split into several smaller ones, illuminating the sky with a bright blue glow. Inside, the most powerful storm. Last year, an airplane of the American Weather Service flew right through the heart of Hurricane Melissa, raging over the Caribbean Sea. I wonder what the pilot felt being completely surrounded by clouds. This incredible underwater creature is called a comb jelly. It is a true master of the ocean when it comes to camouflage and bioluminescence. A stick floating in the air? Amazing? Not really. Not if you live in Australia, surrounded by hundreds of web-spinning spiders. This is why it is important to go outside during an earthquake. Because of the deformation of buildings, tiles crack and break off, and they can cause serious harm to anyone. Quicksand slowly but inevitably swallows stones, a mesmerizing reminder of the power of nature. Did you know that there is underground water in the desert and that it boils from the heat? After bad weather, such clouds in Iceland are not uncommon. They form when strong wind mixes them together in the air, like a blender. I would not want to encounter such a python on my way during a vacation. A strange red cloud was seen over South Africa. Beautiful and frightening at the same time, do you agree? Birds are gathering to fly south, but in Texas, their movement terrifies the local residents. This is how a tornado forms. It is especially scary when it happens right before your eyes. There was an entire colony of rats living under the tarpaulin, and when the light hit them, they rushed out like an unstoppable wave. Here, perhaps, there is nothing to add in the form of comments. A hurricane gathered spiders, and then they fell to the ground together with the rain. The result is such a beautiful picture that it gives you goosebumps. The cuttlefish is one of the most mysterious creatures on our planet, able to change its appearance in just a couple of seconds. Every year on Christmas Island, millions of red crabs march from the forest to the ocean to lay their eggs. This is one of the greatest migrations in nature. And what is happening in this video? Does anyone understand? Write about it in the comments. It will be interesting to read. Despite the danger to their lives, these guys did not abandon their work. This is what real professionals look like. Footage like this is not rare for Japan, yet they still cause a storm of discussion in the comments. A married couple was in the car when they were overtaken by a strong earthquake with a magnitude of more than 7 points. This glowing stone is called a euperlite. It is found along the shores of Lake Superior in the United States. Finding one is a real miracle, because such a stone costs around $4,000. There are millions of them. These are not insects, but tiny crabs that have just recently been born. Their caring mother is watching their first steps in life, ready to quickly come to their aid in case of danger. Only in Iceland can you see such a surreal phenomenon. molten lava glowing under the bright green and purple lights of the Northern Lights. For almost a whole hour, the ground in one of the villages in eastern India shook and erupted boiling mud and water, throwing the local residents into absolute horror. Every spring, tons of ice are simply thrown onto the shore. This happens when moving water breaks the ice blocks and pushes them toward land. The Northern Lights are beautiful in any form, do you agree? Is this a meteorite? No, it is just fragments of a space satellite that beautifully burned up in the atmosphere over Moscow. After heavy rains, a landslide occurred on a mountain road. Flows of earth and debris dangerously rushed down the slope. Never stand close to the shore during a storm. It is foolish and, first of all, unsafe. Monkey mayhem in Thailand. Two groups of tailed troublemakers fiercely fought at a busy intersection, completely blocking traffic. All this happened because of food shortages after several months without tourists. Fire ants are known for their teamwork. Here they are forming a living bridge out of their own bodies in order to cross a river. Mountains are monumental. However, even in the strongest rock, there are cracks that lead to consequences like this. A very strong earthquake occurred in Brazil. It destroyed several shopping centers, causing colossal damage to local entrepreneurs. How lucky this guy is. Now he is a millionaire. A powerful tornado hit the city of Batam in Indonesia, lifting debris high into the air and causing chaos throughout the city. The basket star is a strange marine creature with branched tentacles. When it is threatened, it curls up into a tight ball, giving no one the chance to attack it. It feels as if these clouds were created by a human. Could that be possible? What do you think? No, this is not Photoshop, but the blooming of a rare species of algae that turns the water red. Only in New Zealand, in one of the caves, does there live at the same time a colony of 1 million glowworms. They are the ones who create this unusual, one could even say cosmic, glow. The crystal clear waters of Moraine Lake make kayaking here one of the most breathtaking experiences. This place is in Canada and attracts lovers of this sport every year. This beautiful moment captures people feeding hundreds of sacred fish in the Tunga River, a tradition deeply rooted in Indian culture. Is this a volcanic eruption? No. It is just a thunderstorm front, rapidly approaching a crowd of onlookers. An amazing shot came to us from Canada. Here, in a gorge, the sun illuminates only the summit of the mountain while everything else remains in shadow. An incredible sight. You climb into the mountains and, looking back, you see a gigantic shadow looming behind you. Do not be afraid. This is a rare optical phenomenon called the Brocken specter. It occurs when your shadow is projected onto a cloud or fog opposite the sun, and the multicolored halo around it appears because sunlight is refracted in tiny droplets of water in the fog. This landslide in China caused huge amounts of debris and trees to slide down from the mountain. The dust cloud was so thick that it covered everything around. This impressive cloud formation in Texas is called a roll cloud. It forms along the leading edge of a cold front when warm air rises above the cooler, sinking air. Just look at how much spiderweb there is. Have you ever seen anything like this? An airplane in the sky is an amazing sight, especially if it is flying at a very high altitude where the air temperature can reach about 60 degrees. Because of the hot engines, this kind of trail forms, which we can see even from the ground. A storm is approaching. From afar, it looks quite harmless, yet it is already preparing to unleash all its power on one of the Chinese cities in a few hours. We have all seen a rainbow, but a rainbow hiding inside a cloud? That is something new. An orca rammed the boat several times, and the crew had to leave at full speed to avoid new impacts. Fortunately, they managed to escape safely.
Go! Go!
A drone is an excellent tool for filming animals in the wild. Basically, see for yourself. In such weather, it is better to wait things out indoors. That is what the visitors of a popular Austrian resort did as they watched a real waterfall of mud and stones. Do not be afraid. This is not environmental pollution. The diver is using a harmless fluorescent dye to show how sea sponges filter water. Fishermen accidentally ended up in waters teeming with sharks during a hunt. They definitely did not want to find themselves overboard at that moment. This is what an oil spill can lead to. A horrifying sight. In Chile, there is a burning lake. The water there has been aflame for several hundred years because of gas that seeps to the surface. Many treasures are hidden in the desert. For example, oil that tourists discovered just like this among the golden sands. There is enough fish for everyone. This is roughly what the hunt of seagulls off the coast of Norway looks like. Hundreds of birds rush down in the hope of grabbing a cherished piece of food. This whale is enormous. It was washed ashore, and although it is an incredible sight, people nearby should be careful. Rain from a single cloud. A fantasy? No, a reality that occurs extremely rarely. These guys are truly lucky because not everyone gets to take a heavenly shower right out in the street. This is what happens to an animal if it is not cared for properly. It is an incredible stroke of luck to see king penguins in their natural habitat. In this video, there are hundreds, if not thousands of them. The main thing is not to scare them. They are very afraid of loud noises. When ultraviolet light hits this stone, a strange warm glow emanates from it. It looks very unusual, do you agree? What do you know about risk?
Oh, whoa, okay.
I do not know what caused this, but seeing the sky covered with birds like this is both beautiful and a little scary at the same time. I would love to know the secret that this diver knows. How else can one explain his typical dive? Have you ever seen so many rays in one place? And yet this happens every year during migration season. This process is hidden from human eyes because in some regions of Asia, ray meat is considered a very valuable delicacy. These birds do not need wooden houses and trees. They build their nests directly in cliffs made of sandy limestone. It is fast, high quality, and safe. Enchanting beauty. Waterfalls are beautiful and dangerous at the same time because one careless movement can easily lead to tragedy. Only the bravest dare to pass here. Hundreds of sharp icicles hang overhead, glittering like crystal spears, ready to fall. Nothing unusual, just the aftermath of New Year's fireworks in Bahrain. Heavy rain in India triggered a powerful landslide that brought down several apartment buildings like dominoes. A road through mountain passes during bad weather can be very dangerous. I would not have wanted to be anywhere near this at that moment. This world never stops surprising us. Thousands of starlings are dancing above the water's surface. Or maybe they are frightened and this is a mass escape? What do you think? In such moments, People usually think about how to drive away as fast as possible. However, for this married couple, filming a spectacular video with a tornado in the background was the first priority. Such unusual phenomena happen on our planet. And now, our hour-long episode is coming to an end. If you liked it and you want to see the next part, something similar, then write about it in the comments. Leave likes, subscribe to the channel, and right now write the keyword rocket in the comments. That's how I will know that you watched all the way to the very end. Thank you all very much for watching, and next, watch one of the 2 videos that have appeared.